Hello, guys. Good morning.
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 I'm just admitting everyone. Just give me a second.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Once again, welcome. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Got Jose Luis, Aaron, Joshua. Here comes Georgina, Azareli, Gabi, Liliana, Miriam. Here comes Efraín too. We're getting ready. We're getting ready, guys. Here comes Azareli again. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning. Teacher, is that my computer doesn't work the micro? So can I stay with the devices?
Of course.
Thank you.
Don't worry. Just write the attendance. Here comes Marisa. Jose Luis. Aaron. Here comes Ignacio too. Jose Luis, Aaron, Azareli, Efraín, Gaby, Georgina, Joshua, Ignacio, Liliana, Marisa.
Teacher,
Yes. Yes, Marisa?
my camera is not working very well.
I understand. Don't worry. I understand. So once again, we have Aaron, Azareli, Azareli again, Efraín, Gaby, Georgina, Jose Luis, Joshua, Ignacio, Liliana, Marisa, and Miriam. And Miriam. Where am I? Helene. Okay. Okay, guys, welcome. Welcome back to your final year in this BA. Finally, you're at the gates of finishing this BA and hopefully at the gates of obtaining a very good position, your plaza, right? How are you guys? How were your vacations?
I need more vacation. But I'm good. I'm okay.
Gabby, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
Very low.
Okay, I wanna change my device.
Okay.
Teacher,
Yes, Efraín?
me dijo Ailene que anda llevando a su hijo al doctor, que a lo mejor entraba tarde,
Oh, thank you.
que le
Thank you,
avisara, me
Efraín.
dijo.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. So it's Adilene, we're missing Renee, and who else? There's somebody else missing.
Lluvia is here?
Lluvia. Lluvia. Okay, thank you. So guys, to begin with, I would like you to share with us what are your hopes for this new school year. What are your hopes? What do you expect? What would you plan to do? Anything that you want to share with us relating to this final school year here at UPES, but also in your regular works as professors? Who wants to begin?
Me.
Sareli?
Well, I hope to finish the school year with great health. And also I hope to finish UPIS and to obtain my plaza, I hope. I expect to learn a lot from the teachers, from the great teachers that we have.
Thank you, Sareli. You're great teachers also, all of you. Thank you. Somebody else? Thank you, Sareli. Thank you.
Welcome.
Remember, this is like an icebreaker, okay? So it's very important that we can all share our thoughts. Somebody else, guys?
Okay, hi. Well, I hope to finish the semester with a good average qualifications and to be able to obtain my degree in a easier way the next year.
Excellent, Jose Luis. Excellent. You already work at secondary level, right?
Yes, secondary.
Secondary level. Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Somebody else? Just one person, not everybody. Just one. Okay. I'm going to share with you my hopes, my expectations. Personally, I really love to finish this school year with health, and I seriously hope that my family is also healthy. They don't get infected by this virus, and everything seems that we're going to at private level in my supervision in my school, we're going to begin with normal classes, not virtual ones. We have to go to school. So it's going to be a little bit difficult to be working and taking care of our health at the same time. But that's what we have. So what do I expect? I expect to remain healthy. Okay, guys, we're going to begin. I'm going to begin sharing the screen with you. Give me a second. Please let me know if you're able to see the presentation.
Yes, teacher.
Thank you,
can see.
Lilian.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, welcome formally to this new. So give me a second. I'm having a little bit of a problem here. There. Sorry. Well, thank you, and welcome to this new seminar, English Literature 2, the 7th semester, and this virtual session 1. So as you can see, we're going to be going through one of the epic poems, and for some people, for some scholars, the most translated poem in history. So it's going to be very interesting. So let's begin. First, we're going to begin with somebody, please share with us the comments about the first video. It was English literature, if I'm not mistaken, from activity 1. So I'm going to ask Aaron, if you could share with us your comments about the first video, which was Anglo-Saxon language and literature, please, if you please. What is your comments? What are your comments, your thoughts about the first video that was in activity 1?
Let me turn on the computer because I'm on the cell phone.
Okay. You could tell us, Aaron, what do you find interesting about that that first video? What comes to your mind? What do you remember? What was important to you? What caught your eye? What caught your attention?
Of the first activity, right?
The first video or the first activity, which was Anglo-Saxon language and literature. Did you watch the video?
Yeah, but I'm turning on the computer to see my file.
Well, in the
Teacher.
meantime, yes, please.
The video mentions at the beginning that in the Anglo-Saxons period, there was like 5 languages, I think. There were too many clarifications, but 2 of the language become the more important for that period of time. I believe was Latin. And the other one, I watched this video at the beginning of the week, so I don't remember accurate, but.
Thank you, Jose Luis.
What I remember is that in the Anglo-Saxon Latin, there are 60,000 of lines that are recovered for that period.
Okay. Thank you, Georgina. Yes.
Can you hear me, teacher?
Yes, Miriam.
Okay, I also remember that the dominant language used was Latin.
Yes. Yes, Latin was the dominant language because it was dominant language in written form. Because
in English was the spoken in English.
Exactly.
And they write in Latin.
Exactly. And Latin was the official language of the church at the time. Yes, but the English was a vernacular language, the language that the people spoke.
Obviously, it was the old English, not the actual English.
Exactly. Yes. Very good. Very good. Very good. Excellent.
And in the video, they also mentioned that it was when the runic alphabet was developed and arrived to the Anglo-Saxons.
Also, yes. Yes. Remember that the first settlers of what we know now as England were the Celts, and the Celts used the runes as writing, as a form of writing. Thank you, guys. Well, excellent participations. Thank you. Now, in activity 1, you also had an infography that it was called Anglosajones, una breve historia, or a brief history. What do you remember about that? What did you find important about that? About that piece of information?
I remember something about the Germanic tribes, the Anglo, the Saxon, and the Jutes, and they were the ones who developed.
Exactly. Yes.
I also remember that during that period, it was known as the Dark Ages because there is very little sources of that period.
Yes, those were known as the Dark Ages, although some people prefer to name them as early Middle Ages, right? But yes, some people refer to them as Dark Ages. Excellent. Yes, as the name tells us, it's a very brief history about how England was formed and how people from Germanic tribes came to what is now England because they could farm there. They were very good lands, and they could farm. They could make some agriculture activities. And also in that infography says that the climate in that era or that time was actually warmer than it is now today. So it's very interesting. It was very interesting to read it. Thank you. Now, guys, somebody that wants to share with us his or her info, the activity that this give me a second. Give me a second. The product of this first activity. Who wants to share with us? I'm going to stop sharing my screen. So somebody that wants to share his or her infography with us of the first activity.
Can I do it?
Yes, Jose, please. Oh, let me allow you to share. There. Ready.
Dice que el anfitrión inhabilitó la compartir pantalla.
Oh. There. Sorry.
Can you see my screen, teacher? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
I can hear.
Yes, we can hear you. Josue?
I did my infographic, something like a timeline, and I put some events.
Can you explain your infography with us?
I can hear.
Can you explain your infography to us?
Okay. Okay, here is the Anglo-Saxon period. The title that I wrote is a subtitle from 410 to 1016 AD. It's a period that used to be known as their ages, and from there I start this this graphic. Here we can see that there were five in the first part of 8th century. There were 5 languages in Britain. There you can read British, Scots, Pictish, English, and Latin. Then, when Anglo-Saxon are in Britain, they began to arrive when Roman legion left Britain, and they were received by Romano-British. And there, the monks, Gildas, writing the mid-6th century talks about Ambrosius. Ambrosius was something like a general, soldier, a warrior. And there you can see the name of the enemies of them. The Scottish enemies were called Sassenachs, and Welsh enemies were called Sassenachs, something like that. Then the Anglo-Saxon kingdom developed the English as a spoken language and Latin as a written sacred language of scripture. Then on number 4, there were from 650 to 800 AD, 7 kingdoms. And by the 8050 AD, the 7 kingdoms have been consolidated into 3 large Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, Northumbria, Mercia, and Wessex. And they have become Christian people. Then I wrote something about poetry of that time, Old English and Anglo-Latin, around 60,000 lines of poetry surviving. And there you can see the ruin, the is the masterpiece is of a superhero who destroys of the are the new invaders. And number 8, I wrote something about Alfred the Great. Alfred. And that's it.
Thank you, Joshua. Excellent work. Congratulations. Very well summarized. Thank you very much. Joshua mentioned a king. It was called Ambrosius, right? And for some people, Ambrosius is the mythical, King Arthur of the Round Table and
Excalibur.
Yes, Excalibur. Yes. For some people, they think that he is the mythical King Arthur. Thank you, Joshua. Somebody else who wants to share his or her infography with us for activity 1. Remember, I'm taking a note for participation here, right?
Me, teacher.
Me, teacher.
Okay, Marisa? Ready when you are.
Yes, I am opening the file.
Okay.
I shared the file, but you stopped. It said the screen sharing has stopped. Can you see it?
Yes. Yes, I see it.
Well, in my infography, it's the Anglo-Saxon language and literature, and I added more information about the first video than the second one.
Okay.
And in the first part, they talk about this guy who's called Bed the Venerable, who was a writer. In his work, he says that there were 5 languages in the first part of the 8th centuries. It was British, Scots, Pictish, English, and Latin, but only 2 of them were the most important, English as a spoken language and Latin as a written language. And the runic alphabet was developed in the continent, and they used to write words. The earliest evidence for the English were short text, like single words, nouns, or names, and they were written using runes in ceramic pots, in coins, or in brooches. Then in the same video, they mentioned that the Anglo-Saxon England is different since it uses vernacular language, English as a written and literary language, which can rival the status of Latin. And Latin, let me make it a little bit bigger. It was the dominant literary language in the Anglo-Saxon kingdom, and it was associated with its kind of innate authority. It was one of the sacred language of scripture, and it was the language of the church. And there are many evidences of the written secular context as well as the outside of the church. Even letters surviving the Anglo-Saxon England, such as codes and wills. And they mention also the masterpiece, Beowulf, which is a poem about a superhuman hero who defeats 3 monsters. But this epic poem conveys the heroic glory of the past, even its points of destruction. About the other video, I added other information. As I told you before, the term Anglo-Saxon was originated from the Germanic tribes, the Angles, the Saxon, and the Jutes. The Anglo-Saxon period is the earliest recorded time in the period of English history. And in here we can see a map. It says the various Anglo-Saxon groups settled in different areas of the country. They formed several kingdoms, often changing and constantly at war with one another. The period used to be known as the Dark Ages, and it was the time of war, of the breaking up of Roman Britannia into several separate kingdoms. The Celtic areas of Britain regarded the Saxons as enemies and foreigners, and the borders, their names become Sassenachs to the Scottish and Sassenach to the Welsh. It reminds me of one of the Netflix series, and they mention a lot the word Sassenach.
Which one?
Outlander.
Outlander.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it.
However, the invaders were resisted fiercely by the Romano-British, who might have been led by King Arthur, if he existed. They mentioned that in the video, if he existed. Mm-hmm. And there is no hard evidence that he did. And that's a summary of my infography.
Thank you. Thank you, Marisa. As always, great design. The background are runes, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with us. Okay, somebody else also asked to share with us his or her infography. I didn't catch who it was.
Me,
Please,
teacher.
Gabby, okay? Okay, once Marisa stops sharing her screen, you can share with us yours.
My computer is slow this day.
Don't worry, don't worry.
Okay, can you say it?
Yes,
Okay. So my infographic, it is a brief story about Anglo-Saxons. The Anglo-Saxon period in Britain spans approximately the 6 centuries from 410 to 166 AD. So this period used to be known as the Dark Ages, as my partners mentioned before. The Anglo-Saxons enemies mainly were the Vikings, right?
mm-hmm.
So this time was a time of war and of the breaking up of Roman Britannia into several separate kingdoms of religious conversions, and after the 790s of continual battles against a new set of invited the Vikings. The settlement, when the Roman legions left Britain, the Germanic-speaking Angles, Saxons, Jutes, and Frisians began to arrive to Britain. Then I mentioned the social classes of the Anglo-Saxons, and these were broken up into many different classes. The top, as you can see here, was the high king, followed by the thegns, ceorls, and the slaves in the bottom of the pyramid. Then the kingdoms. After settling in England, they started to form different kingdoms. Some of the kingdoms that formed were Kent, Mercia, Northumbria, East Anglia, Essex, Sussex, and Wessex. And in the image, you can see the location of each one. Well, I think you can see it. Then the religion. The Anglo-Saxons were pagan. By over time, many of them converted to Christianity by Roman missionaries. But they used to adore the god of the battle, the rain, and the crop god, I think. The language and literature. They spoke distinctive dialect that later became Old English. The Anglo-Saxon literature was passed down through many different forms, such as oral traditions, chronicles, poems, riddles, epics, etc. The main works of poetry were the Rune, an anonymous poem written about the ruin and decay of a Roman town. Beowulf, about the great hero who fought and killed the monster Grendel, and the Battle of Maldon, about the Saxon heroic defense against a force of raiding Vikings in Essex. So in the text, the second part in the platform mentioned the Alfred the Great. This was a king that was important because defeated the Vikings in the Battle of Edington and recaptured London from the Vikings, strengthened his kingdom's defenses by creating a series of fortresses, and built ships against Viking sea attacks, had books translated into English and promoted learning, founded monasteries, and commissioned the writing of the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, a historical record of the Anglo-Saxon in Britain. And their daily life mentioned that the Anglo-Saxons, I'm sorry, I missed on letter 8 there, had farmers that grew crops like wheat, barley, and rye. They also had other special jobs such as blacksmiths, woodworkers, potter, shoemakers, and jewelers. And finally, when the Anglo-Saxons fell down, the official end date of the Anglo-Saxon rule was in 166. It was the Battle of the Hastings, where King Harold of England was defeated by William of Normandy. This you can see some more information about the Anglo-Saxons and the Battle of the Vikings. And you can see an additional information there, and this is my infographic.
Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, very good,
Welcome.
excellent. Well done. Very complete, thank you. Okay, guys, we have only 2 minutes left of this meeting. So I'm going to end it here and we'll continue right away. So see you in a moment, okay?
Okay, okay.